Welcome, fans, to the 98th and special NCAA Coaches edition of Changeover Chat presented by Sportmaster Sports Surfaces. I'm your host, Randy Master. Today's guest is a women's college tennis coach in her 5th season at the University of Virginia. Go Hoos, where she continues to move the Cavaliers up into the ranks of some of the very best teams in college tennis, currently sitting at number 7 in the country with a 20-5 record. In 2021, our guest brought the Cavaliers to the round of 16 of the NCAA tournament, their first time since 2016 in the Sweet 16, and she coached then freshman Emma Navarro to an NCAA championship in singles her freshman year. Navarro becoming the second player in UVA history to win the NCAAs, the other being current top 10 WTA Tour player Danielle Collins. Before joining the Hoos, our guest was the head coach of Davidson, where she guided the Wildcats to 3 straight winning seasons and also was named A10 Coach of the Year in 2016. Prior to taking over the Davidson program, our guest was an assistant coach at North Carolina, her alma mater, from 2008 to 2014. As a player at UNC, she was an All-American in 2006 and 2007 and won the NCAA doubles title in 2007 with partner Jenna Long, doing all of this under previous guest on Changeover Chat, Coach Brian Kalbas. It's never happened where I've had a player who played for a coach that was the guest in the previous episode, but now they coach against each other. But we'll get to that later. A native of Littleton, Colorado, our guest was named to the Colorado Tennis Hall of Fame as part of the class of 2015. Please welcome from beautiful Charlottesville, Virginia, Coach Sara O'Leary.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure having you, especially considering you're right in the thick of the postseason. ACC championship just ended, and you're getting your team ready for the NCAAs. So you got a lot going on right now. So I appreciate you taking the time. So we talked about in our intro that you won an NCAA title in doubles at the University of North Carolina, and that was under Coach Brian Kalbas, who was my last guest on the show. Now, Brian and I didn't talk about you specifically, but I did mention that he had a player that won an NCAA title when he was the coach at North Carolina, an NCAA title in doubles, and that, of course, was you. Your relationship with Brian goes back a long way. He was your coach. You were his assistant coach. How much does, I'm sure you get asked this a lot, how much does Coach Kalbas mean to you as far as a player on the court, how he developed your game, when he recruited you, and then how much he got you into coaching, and how much does he mean to you today as we sit here?
So he actually didn't recruit me. I was actually recruited by a coach named Jen Callan, who's now Jen Beveridge. She got married, but she recruited me out of high school. And she's actually a UVA alum. So since I've been at UVA now, we've reconnected and it's been kind of come full circle. But she actually recruited me, and she left the summer before I was supposed to start my freshman year. And Brian came in that year. So which obviously worked out. We had a great relationship, and he helped me a lot. Just figuring out that coaching is what I wanted to do. And it was a passion of mine. I think that he and I had a great relationship, and, I think he's an unbelievable coach. It's incredible what he's done at UNC. I'm so happy for him and proud of him. And, it was just such a fun journey. I think going from my freshman year to my senior year and continuing to improve all of those years, especially on the doubles side, and win a national title. So, I then got to work with him for 6 years and learned a lot. He's definitely a mentor of mine and somebody that I think very highly of. So
you and Brian went head to head this past weekend, UVA taking out the top seeded and top ranked Tar Heels in the semifinals of the ACC championship. Now, you hadn't beaten them, or UVA hadn't beaten Carolina in a while in a dual match, much less the ACC championship. What did that mean to your program? And was it a little awkward shaking hands with Coach Kalbas after that one? I assume there was no trash talk, or it was very
No.
Cordial.
It honestly still feels a little surreal to me just because, I've had so much respect for him and their program and what they've done. And, they had beaten us, I think it was 8 times in a row. So
Yeah.
we were very determined to not let it be 9 times in a row. And I don't know, it felt different this time. I think going into the match, I think there's a little bit of a different belief factor going on with our team right now. And I think we went into that match really feeling like this is our day and we're ready and we can do this. And yeah, it was a really tough match. It was super close. In doubles, at number one doubles, we were up 5-1 and they came all the way back to 5-5. And then our number one doubles ended up winning at 7-5. But there's a lot of just back and forth there. And then it came down to our number two player, Natasha Sabash, who was playing Elizabeth Scotty. And I actually didn't know this, but her dad told me afterwards that they've been playing since they were 7 years old, and Natasha had never beaten her. So that was her first time beating Scotty, who's an unbelievable player.
Yeah.
And it was back and forth there. Natasha was up 3-0 in the third set, and Scotty came back, and Natasha just stayed focused and composed and ended up coming out winning that match 6-4. But no, after the match, I mean, Brian shook my hand and looked me right in the eye and was just like, "Great match," and we have a lot of respect for each other. So I know he's competitive, I'm competitive too, but yeah, it was just a pretty emotional match for me afterwards. Honestly, I had tears in my eyes. I was so proud of my team and the effort they put in that match, and to beat the number one team in the country. We've never done that before, and they just put everything they had into that match. So it was a great day, a great experience, and I think proved to our team that we can play with the best teams in the country.
So, Sarah, you guys upset North Carolina, the number one team in the country. You have to come back the very next day against a very tough Duke Blue Devils team. Now, you guys lost that one 4-1. It was obviously closer than the score would indicate. But were your team were they ready to go that day? Was there a hangover of any kind after that huge win, or did it just not fall your way against Duke?
No, I think they were definitely ready to go, and they were very motivated and very excited about that match. I think this team had never been in that position in a championship match, playing for an ACC title, and I think we could have handled it a little bit better than we did in certain areas. I think we just maybe went in a little bit stressed, a little bit timid compared to the 2 days before. And I give a lot of credit to Duke. I mean, I thought they just played really, really solid in important moments during that match, and handled those moments a little bit better than we did. But, I think for us to be in the final and gain that experience is huge for our team. I mean, since I've been here for the last 5 years, we've never made the finals of the ACC championship. So gaining that experience, I think, is going to really help us in the future.
We're going to talk a lot about those ACC teams, how they played this past weekend in the ACC tournament, and then when you might face them again down the road in the NCAAs. Now, before we get to that, I want to talk more about the UVA Cavaliers, because I'm a big fan. My dad played lacrosse at UVA, so I've been a lifelong follower of the Cavaliers. Now, I told you before the show I wanted to talk some basketball. You said you were okay with it. You and Tony Bennett were friends, and any friend of Tony Bennett is somebody that I'd like to talk to because I'm such a huge Virginia basketball fan. Now, I was talking to your friend Brian Calbus, and it's not going to surprise you, talking to him about UNC basketball, you might as well have been talking to Michael Jordan. I mean, I felt like I was talking to Hubert Davis. I'm like, good, Brian, you want to sit and talk about basketball the whole day? We can do it. But anyway, where I'm going with this, I want to talk about that UVA basketball and Tony Bennett. I think there is a lesson for all coaches that can be learned from an experience that Tony Bennett had with his team. In 2018, UVA becomes the first number one seed to lose to a number 16 seed in the NCAA tournament when they lost to UMBC in the first round. Next year, 2019, they become a punchline. Who's the only number one seed to ever lose in the first round of the NCAA tournament? Turned out it was UVA. Turn around next year, 2019. Everyone knows the story. They cut down the Nets in Minneapolis, their national championship, the year after that happened. Now, Sarah, as a coach, what can you teach your team about resilience coming back from the ultimate really embarrassment that team faced in 18, coming back, winning it the next year? What did you tell them then? And what can you continue to tell teams in the future about what Tony did with that college basketball team at UVA that year?
Yeah, that was an incredible thing to watch from the year that they lost to the year that they won the whole thing. And I remember we were on the road, I think we were at Notre Dame, and we were all watching that game that they lost to UMBC in our hotel room together. And it was for sure shocking at the time and surprising. But I think Tony just has such amazing character, and he's instilled such incredible values within his team. And they play with so much resilience, so much humility. And I think if there was a coach that could lead their team to what they did, it's Tony Bennett. I mean,
Yeah.
the guy is just, he focuses on the things that they can control. He didn't get down on his team. He told them, this is something we have to go through that's going to make us great, and it's going to give us an opportunity to do something great. I can't remember the exact quote that he mentioned, but I definitely use that quote with my team, and it's just been, incredible to watch what they did that year and how they came back. And you saw it in, certain games in that national championship run. I mean, they would be down and out, or it'd be so uncomfortable, or overtime, and it just seemed like nothing faced them. It looked like they had gone through the worst thing they probably could have gone through the year before,
Yeah.
and they came out okay. And I think sometimes we have to go through tough moments and tough losses to kind of see what we're made of and learn from those. And that's exactly what Tony Bennett did with his team. And it was so inspiring, and I mean, just an amazing experience for everybody here in Charlottesville. I mean, everybody loves Tony, loves the basketball team, and was just couldn't have been happier for him and his squad that year. It was just amazing, amazing accomplishment.
Yeah. And Kihei Clark has announced he's coming back. He didn't
Yeah.
declare for the draft, so that's good news in Charlottesville. Now,
Mhm.
one other thing about Tony, I told you I was a big UVA basketball fan.
Yeah.
Tony can play tennis too. I've been to Boar's Head, and I've seen
Mhm.
him play. I was like, wait, is that? I pulled up one time and was like, is that Tony Bennett? Yeah, I'm like,
Mhm.
this guy can play. Now, first of all, have you ever played with Coach Bennett?
I have not. We talked about playing a little bit during COVID, but actually never got around to it. But yeah, he's a big tennis fan. He's always talking about tennis. He's come out to some of our matches, and yeah, it's great. He loves the sport.
Well, I want to know when you guys are going to play, and if you could predict it right here, you and Tony out at the Boar's Head on clay, 2 out of 3, who wins?
I haven't seen him play. I don't know.
Take my word for it. The guy can play, but he didn't win any NCAA championships in tennis. I can tell you that. Basketball?
I mean, I know he's a good athlete.
Yeah.
He's mentally tough. I don't know. I mean, we'd have to see. We'd have to get out there and make it happen.
Yeah. Well, I would love to see it if it does happen. Maybe we could stream it on the TennisONE app. That would be a lot of fun. So let's talk about your team this year, ranked 7 in the country, 20-5 heading into the NCAAs, coming off the weekend where you almost won the ACC tournament, came that close. Overall, Sarah, are you satisfied with what this team has accomplished up to now? I would think the answer would be yes. This is quite a squad.
Yeah, I think that they have accomplished some things that we've never done before. So
Yeah.
we're definitely growing and continuing to get better and learning. I think to be satisfied, I would say no. This team has, they want to win championships, and I think that they're capable. The level that we have, we're capable of doing that. But it's been an amazing season so far. It's been, it started pretty tough actually. In the kickoff weekend, Stanford chose to come to Charlottesville, which was a little bit surprising, but we are like, all right, great. Let's take on, one of probably the best program in the history of college tennis. And we had a great match with them. We won 4-3. It came down to Emma Navarro's match. She was playing Connie Ma, who's a stud freshman. I've been very impressed with her. But what was interesting is at number 2 singles, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but Elaine Chervinsky on our team, who's a freshman, was playing another freshman, Yepa Fanova, and was down 5-2 in the third. And Elaine
Jeez.
just stayed so tough and came back and ended up winning that match 7-5. And had she not done that, we wouldn't have won that match. But I think winning that match against Stanford and punching our ticket to go to the national indoor tournament really kind of set the tone for our team. We went to national indoors. We beat Florida in the first round. Then we lost to UNC, and then we beat Georgia in the back draw, which was a big win for us. We had lost to Georgia in the round of 16 of NCAA's the year before. It came down to one of our seniors, Sophia Munera, and she just stayed so calm and collected and just kept believing in herself. And she won 6-4 in the third. And so that was just a great start to our season. And then obviously the ACC conference is so
Wow.
strong. And we've taken some losses. We lost to UNC, Duke, and Miami during the regular season. A couple of those we were missing Elaine. She was actually injured, but
Hmm.
getting that experience and playing the best teams in the country weekend after weekend after weekend, I just feel like when NCAA's comes, we're really match tough at this
Yeah.
point. We face the best teams in the country and we know what it's like. We know what we have to do in those matches. And so, I'm definitely happy with how the season has gone and proud of the girls, but we're definitely, we're not satisfied. We're really excited for the NCAA tournament.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the NCAAs, now as a coach, this is always when I look at what coaches have to work with between the end of the conference championships and then that waiting game to see where you're going to go, who you're going to play, and what that road looks like. So you have about a week until a little less than a week until the selection show next Monday, and then you'll start your first round regionals probably there in Charlottesville later that week. Now, coach, let's take just today, for instance, like what is the approach with the players as you wait, you stay healthy, you want to stay energized, you want to stay confident? Like to me, it's a whole different type of coaching, isn't it? Now that you've achieved one goal, you've gotten through a good regular season, but how do you approach both off the court, on the court, getting ready for what's to come?
I mean, the biggest thing is recovering and making sure they're healthy
Yeah.
going into the NCAA tournament. So we actually drove back after Rome, after our ACC championship. We couldn't find a flight for everybody to get on, so we ended up driving part of the way Sunday night and drove 6 hours yesterday. So they have today off, and
That's
definitely
good.
need that time to recover. They're also in the middle of they're going to start finals soon, so
Yeah.
there is just a lot going on, and a lot of it is just managing them really well and making sure they're getting what they need. But this isn't the time that we need to overtrain in any way. We want to make sure they feel as stress-free as possible. And I think the biggest thing is we can learn a lot from this past weekend at the ACC tournament. We do a lot of video work with the girls and
Yeah.
watch a lot of matches. So we will definitely be doing that this week. And yeah, we'll find out who we play on Monday, so we'll start preparing for that. But really, it's the same as usual. Our
Yeah.
our preparation. It's just making sure that they're in a good place health wise and stress wise with finals going on. So yeah, that's how we'll handle it.
Yeah, and when you look at, you've been in the college game for a long time as a coach and a player. When you look at this field this year, when you go down the rankings and you look at you look at Texas and Oklahoma and Texas A&M and teams in your conference, Miami, NC State, Duke, the list goes on and on. Is it, how does that make you feel as a coach? You saying, God, this is as loaded and deep as it's ever been in college tennis, and I like that. I'm ready to go to war. Or is it a little bit scary? Like, oh my God, we could get, we got to come out. We got to come out to play in our first round match. Coach Manny Diaz a couple of weeks ago on this show, Sarah said, there was a time, and he's obviously been coaching longer than you, much longer, in a good way. Guy's a legend, but he was
Mhm.
talking about back in the day where it's like, Randy, if they weren't a top 15 team, I wasn't losing any sleep the night before. And he was being dead serious. He wasn't trying to be like offensive to other teams. But the point I'm getting at is it is so deep on both the men's side and the women's side of the college game right now. Is that you view that as a good thing? I'm assuming, Sarah.
I think it's a great thing. I think when you're playing the best teams, it brings out the best in you and you get
Yeah.
to learn, more about yourself and what you need to improve on. And, there's so much depth in college tennis right now. We actually, the weekend before ACCs, we went and played Georgia Tech
Yeah.
in Atlanta, and they're ranked like 35 or something. And they've been a very, very strong program in the past, and they're still a really strong program. We almost lost the doubles point. We had won at one doubles, lost at three doubles, and at two doubles, we were down 6-2 in the tiebreaker. And when it got to 6-3, one of their players, Bilchev, had this, kind of sitter on the net volley and went right at Sophia Munera on our team, who's a senior. Sophia had this amazing block and got the ball back, and we ended up winning that point. And they came all the way back and won the tiebreaker 10-8. And then in singles, I mean, it was battles all the way down the line. We won the last two matches and really close three setters. And
Yeah.
had we not won that doubles point, who knows what would have happened in that match. And it just goes to show, I mean, you can't take anybody for granted. And Georgia Tech, they're 35 in the country, they're dangerous. I mean, they're a really, really good team. So yeah, I mean, we're not taking anybody for granted, going into this tournament. We know that. And in terms of all these good teams, we're used to it. I mean, we just played the ACC tournament. Just to get to the final, we had to beat number 3 in the country and number 1 in the country. So, that's not going to be a surprise for us, and we're definitely ready for it and looking forward to it.
Well, one player that you will need and you will have going into the tournament that is a big part of your team, to say the least, is defending NCAA champion Emma Navarro. Now, I saw Emma play on TV a few weeks ago. She played in Charleston. She picked up a big win over Madison Brangle in the first round. She did great there. She, at the US Open last year, I was actually there and I saw her play Christina McHale. I think that was 1-5 or 1-6. But where I'm going with this is she is a big time player. And when you look at her talent, her ability, and you compare her to players that you've seen over the years that have made it in the pro game, obviously Danielle Collins is one. She was at UVA. She won her last national championship at UVA, I think the year before you got there. But you
Correct.
obviously know her game. You know the Jennifer Brady's of the world. Is Emma? I haven't seen Emma play enough to judge like where her game is relative to those players at that time. So it's hard for me to judge, but to me, you would be a great judge. I know it's tough to predict, but is Emma bound for big things in the pro game, similar to some of these college players like Collins and Brady that are doing so well?
Yeah, I definitely think so. What stands out to me with Emma is the mental toughness that she has. I haven't really ever seen another player be able to handle the big moments the way that she does. And she does it so well. And a big reason is because she's able to stay so present out there. She doesn't get distracted by what's happened previously in the match or what could happen. She truly just focuses on that next point and stays extremely present. She's an incredibly hard worker. I would say she's probably, for sure, she's at least one of the fittest players in college tennis.
Yeah.
And you see that, and just the way that she moves around the court is unbelievable. I mean, the gets that she can get, I'm just amazed, but she really puts the work in. She really believes in herself. She has incredible work ethic and really great belief in herself. And I think one thing that's really helped her, and I think, Danielle Collins has talked about this as well, is college tennis has put Emma in a position where every match she plays, she's supposed to win. So she goes into every single match with that pressure and feeling like I'm supposed to win. She was the national champion last year. She's number 1 in the country. But feeling that way, I think, has made her learn how to handle it much better and get used to that feeling. And I think she recognizes that this is so good for her to have to learn to play through that pressure. And she cares so much about our team that she puts a lot of pressure on herself to perform for the team. So there's a lot going on out there, and the way that she's handled it has been unbelievable. And she's been just an incredible leader for our team. She's such an example with her work ethic, with her joy for tennis. You can just see it when she's out there and when she's training. I mean, it's at practice, she's dancing, she's joking around. I mean, she's intense and she's serious, but she loves it, and she has a great time out there, and she's just made our team so much better in so many ways, on and off the court. And it's exciting to see what she's doing on the pro tour right now. I mean, she's ranked right around 200 in the world, and she still has so much potential, and so I'm excited to see what she can do. But she's a lot of fun. She's been an amazing player, and I think she's really kind of changing the perspective of college tennis and showing people that you don't have to bypass college tennis to be a great professional player. Same with Danielle Collins, same with Jenny Brady. You can do both and still make it and have an amazing career on tour. So I think she's kind of paving the way for that, just like Danielle and Jenny Brady. And I'm just excited and super proud of her.
Yeah, well, people that are super proud of you for sure are your bosses. I just saw that you signed a 5-year extension to stay at UVA. So congrats on that, coach.
We've been here 5 years now. I had my son here, and my husband and we love Charlottesville. But as a coach, I don't know if there's a better place out there to be a coach. I think that Charlottesville is just so beautiful. We have amazing support from the community. I feel like the athletic department has given us the resources we need to be successful. We just built a brand new outdoor facility that's beautiful. It overlooks the Boar's Head golf course. Yeah. And we obviously, our indoor courts are at the Boar's Head Sports Club, which is one of the most amazing resorts in the world. So I feel like we have all the tools that we need to be successful here. And on top of that, it's an amazing school academically. I've only coached at really good academic schools, and that's something that's really important to me. Is these kids are coming for the tennis, of course, but also the academics. And what I love about UVA is I feel like you're really getting the best of both worlds. You're going to get an amazing tennis experience playing in the ACC, incredible resources, incredible facilities, but then you're also going to get this amazing degree that's going to open up so many doors for you when you graduate. And what's great about UVA is they have such great support academically for the student athletes. And so I don't feel like they ever have to sacrifice one for the other. They don't have to sacrifice their academics for their tennis or their tennis for their academics. They can truly do both. And that was a big reason why I wanted to coach at UVA, because I really saw that when I was looking at the job, and that's how it's been. It's been an incredible ride so far. I've loved my first 5 years. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from a lot of the other coaches. Yeah, actually here at UVA. I mean, there's Tony Bennett, national champion, Lars Tiffany, national champion lacrosse coach, and just so many incredible coaches here who are so willing to share information and support each other. And Honors Pedroso on the men's team, the men's head coach, he's been an amazing friend to me, and just we've worked so well together, and I've learned a lot about how he's built his culture. He has an amazing culture on the men's team, and obviously they're doing really well. They just won the ACC championship. So I feel like I'm in a spot where I can really continue to learn and grow, and I have the resources I need to hopefully help all of my girls, become the best tennis player and best person that they can be. So very, very fortunate, very grateful for this opportunity to be here another 5 years.
So you're clearly in a great position there, Sara, and you couldn't have said that better, the way that you prioritize academics along with athletics and bring the best possible student athletes to Virginia. I have a feeling that you're going to be doing this for another 5 years, and 5 and 5 and 5 after that, and we wish you all the best. And we are pumped here at TennisONE to be covering the entire NCAA championships this year. We covered it last year. This year we're going from round of 64 all the way to University of Illinois. So I'm sure we're going to be seeing a lot of the Virginia Cavaliers over the next month. So we wish you the best of luck. And after the season, I'm going to set it up. I know some people. What am I saying? I was about to say, I know some people who can get to Bennett. I'm like, well, Bennett, so maybe you can get to. I want to see it. I'm going to get with my friend Andy Katz, who's college basketball know-it-all in college basketball for the NCAA. We're going to have a match. It's going to be Coach Sara O'Leary versus Coach Tony Bennett. It's going to be at the Boar's Head Sports Complex on clay. 2 out of 3. And we have to figure out if we're going to play it straight up or you're going to give Tony a couple of games to start the match. Or maybe Tony will get the doubles outs. Or
Okay.
what do you think? I'm just excited.
Like I said, he could be amazing. I'm not 100% sure what his level is. I just know he loves tennis. So
yeah, I wouldn't be going off on this if I didn't know that I've seen him play. I think you would beat him 1-1, but I'm not sure. But anyway, this has been a lot of fun, and we wish you the best of luck. And thanks so much, Sara, for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.